Prime episode reviews continue now with Darkness Rising Part 3. I know, big shock after doing Part 2 yesterday. So, what are we talking about today? Today, we're basically halfway through the middle of the first plot of the series. So we're still getting in touch with the humans. We're still finding the connections between them and the Transformers that they've attached themselves to. And we're up to all of the Dark Energon deeds with Megatron. So we're in this transitional phase here. Alright, so no surprise, it's probably going to continue on the, enjoyable, rating on these. I don't think we're going to stray from that. Spoiler alert, the entirety of Darkness Rising is really good. So, what do we got here? So, for starters, we get some extra establishment with the Autobots and their chosen humans. So, RC is actually in a better mood since the end of last episode. She's gotten to know Jack a little bit more. She's a little bit more understanding about him, and all, getting comfortable again with someone she can connect to. So they're off joyriding, and it's nice to see because we're finally getting we're getting back to the RC that we saw at the very beginning of episode 1. But because of all of the drama with Cliffjumper, we haven't actually been able to really see depicted. So that's been nice. We see Bulkhead very cautiously going along with what Miko's nonsense is, which in this case is to go off-roading with him down cliffs. Okay, not gonna lie, if my car could do its own driving, I would probably do the same. Also, if my car wasn't a Mini Cooper and would roll down the hill tumbling into a ball of flames, I would do that. And then Rav is hanging out inside Bumblebee just kind of playing video games together, which is an interesting way of utilizing a giant robot, but hey, friends hang out in their own ways, right? So we get these connections. So like we already had this thing, like Prime assigned each Autobot to each human, but this is where we actually see, they actually mesh pretty well. Like, even if this is just like random happenstance of who Prime chose to go with who, they actually do blend together well. They are characters who are designed to go together very nicely. So we get like a pre-credit like stinger to go into like what would be the first commercial break. And it's the little scalpel thing that was the repair machine brought to life by the Dark Energon. So that's supposed to be like the dramatic, oh my god, like stay tuned for the action ahead. It's a tiny little metal bug. It doesn't really have the impact that I think they really wanted it to have. It's just kind of silly they're trying to get away with like big shock, stay tuned to see what happens next moments out of a little metal bug. Squashes pretty easily too, by the way. Prime literally just steps on it. But there's a weird moment where I don't even think that Ratchet has identified it as like his former piece of equipment yet. But Prime has already pegged it for being Dark Energon. Now, it makes sense that the leader of the Autobots, the bearer of the Matrix, etc., would also know about Dark Energon the same way Megatron knows of Dark Energon, through myth and legend. But to immediately jump to that, not like spy drone disguised as one of our pieces of equipment, not like just random Decepticon bug that infiltrated the base. He immediately jumps to Dark Energon. It's a slight bit of fallacy in the writing, I feel, but it makes it a little bit weird, just to immediately jump to that. And it's enough for him to take Ratchet off on a mission to go to what he knows to be on Earth, and what Megatron knows to be on Earth as well, which is a Transformer burial yard. Because it turns out in this universe, Earth was one of the many wars where Autobots and one of the many worlds where Autobots and Decepticons went to war. So this is a former battlefield. Now that does give us some reasoning for why Earth is actually loaded with old Cybertron artifacts and equipment. It actually does explain why we have a few characters who are connected to Earth and are already here. So okay, fair enough. Earth used to be a battle site for Transformers. it's why Megatron, and it's what Megatron is really hoping to bring to life with the Dark Energon, which, by the way, Megatron's got like an entire like meteor of the stuff. It's not just that little shard he keeps carrying around. It's a lot. It's a lot. So he's planning to do a lot with it. So beyond that, we'll get back to that. We'll keep that at the end. So let's talk what's going on the human side of things. For starters, before they leave for the mission, Ratchet being a cranky medic is so good here. Like, Prime Ratchet is really is best Ratchet. It's just really entertaining. Just watch him work. So that's cool. But we get this weird thing. Like, there's this running joke where people just keep leaving each other in charge of what's going on. So, you have characters like, let's listen to this. So Prime leaves RC in charge when he and Ratchet leaves. RC wants to go on patrol with Bumblebee, so she leaves Bulkhead in charge. And then when Bulkhead has to leave, Miko trails after him. And then, when Bulkhead has to leave, he leaves Jack in charge. And then when Jack has to leave, I think he leaves Raph in charge. And Raph goes, of who? Nice little chain. Mentioned a few things in there. Let's get to those, shall we? So for starters, the humans need something to do. For some reason, Miko just has a electric guitar and amplifier just there. So she's just ready to put on she's literally trying to recruit everyone who's left in the base as her band. So at least it's some funny moments, what do you play? And she asking like, what do you play? And she asked Jack, she asked Raph, like, what do you play? And he goes, I play keyboard, and holds up a laptop. Little funny things like that. So that's fine. What else can we discern from this? So we get interrupted by Fowler again, who conveniently shows up when everyone's gone. And Fowler actually, because of the amplifier and Bulkhead being very poor at hiding the humans, Fowler does find out, and he's going off to his superiors to announce it. The transmission is intercepted by Soundwave, who sends Laserbeak to go capture Fowler. Laserbeak, who is remarkably efficient at his job, despite just being like a little flying drone here and not a bird. Beyond that, let's see what else. So we have a moment. Oh my God. We have a moment where the humans know they can't let Fowler report back and kind of blow this whole everything. So, they do figure out that he's in trouble. I believe it's Raph. It's like they have to figure out where he is. So Raph's idea is to hack the government mainframe to find his ID chip that special agents have in this universe. Raph just uses his laptop to casually hack into the government computer system. He's like, what, 10? 12? Like, they never explain how he's this smart. I should say they kind of like hint at it, but they never like flat out say it. And as I mentioned, that when Bulkhead finds out where he is and goes for the rescue mission, Miko follows, not without Bulkhead's knowledge. So guess what we have to do now? We have to alter the list again. So that is a 1 point for Miko screws up. Oh, does she screw up? So she's never been in the battlefield before, and she's part scary, part, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. I like Miko more than most because I will at least admit she's a lot like how I would wish I was if this was a real situation. So, yeah. That leads to Jack also leaving into the space bridge to follow after Miko and try to rescue her. I believe that goes in Raph following after. So now all three humans are out of the base, and the entire base is unmanned, which means no one can ground bridge RC and Bumblebee to where they need to be. So it creates a whole mess setting up for episode 4. There's a lot going wrong here. And this is just aside from the part we end off on, which is Megatron raising an entire army of dead Transformers, which is legitimately horrifying to see because they're just like walking shambles of rust. It's a really intimidating sight. All right, so before we wrap this up, we do have a couple more to do. So once again, we have our very first It Stands to Reason, and we also have our second I Needed That. So we will up those scores accordingly. Beyond that, yeah, this has been a pretty fantastic episode. Again, this is a great 5-parter, continues to be good. This is the midpoint with a lot of setup, but it sets up some really cool stuff. So that's my review of episode 3. Naturally, tomorrow we will do episode 4 because that's kind of how this whole series goes. Join me then.
I'm like, I think you guys got this. I will back away, and I will see you all later.
You've got this handled.
Alaffi's like, really? You're not gonna help me? Like, it's fine now.
It's like these disgusting creatures breathing down my neck, and you're all just like, I believe in you. You got this.
All right, you seem to have this. 5 minutes.